here we go. Let me lower down those smooth lo-fi beats just a tad so that y'all can hear my mellifluous voice a little bit better. Welcome in, folks. How's everybody doing? I hope those of you who are here tonight sharing a lovely evening with me here are having as wonderful an evening as I am. I, for one, am having a pretty decent one. Not too bad, actually. It's the day after my birthday. I've mostly recovered, and now I'm here after having led a cult for the majority of the week on my personal stream. And now I'm ready to guide you, dear viewer, through the world of Gun and Slinger, or Slinger and Gun. Or I don't know. There are guns. They're being slung at some point. We started looking at this last week, and today we're gonna just kind of traipse through the PDF, just as we do every week here in this show, as we've been doing for as long as this show has been running. And we're gonna try and figure out, as the name of the show implies, what's so great about, well, in this case, Gun. This direction, that direction. There we go. What's so great about Gun and Slinger, a tabletop RPG created by Nevin Holmes. And by the way, that is some absolutely lovely cover art there that we are just gonna enjoy for a few moments. One thing I noticed very quick about this book is the art. It's lovely. It's all over the place, but it has a certain mystique and almost alien quality to it that really I really appreciate. And I think we'll see a lot more of it as we go through the book. So let me actually pull up the book here on my end. There we go. Hey, Stevedore. Welcome in, my friend. No worries. I know you know how to type it in. You are, if nothing else, definitely one of the few people that we can count on. We can count on to be here and witness whatever madness it is that we're up to that day. And when we don't think we don't appreciate it, because we do. I know I speak for all of us at all times, in all ways. Anyway, today we're checking out Gun and Slinger. So we started with this last week, right? So let's kind of go through it real quick up until where we left off last week. So let's see here. So one of the good things about this, and actually, if you would like to get your own copy of this game, it's online. And let me just paste a quick link to this. Here we go, over on itch. For those of you who may or may not be interested in picking up your own copy of this game once we go through it, links right there on chat. I believe it's going for about $25, and it's worth every penny, honestly, from what I'm seeing so far, at least art-wise and design-wise. It's lovely. So let's check it out. Let's see why it's worth it. Let's see what makes it so hecking cool. Now, what we saw last week, and we've got let's take a quick look at the table of contents so we see what to expect. We've got a couple things, right? We got the original game, so Gun and Slinger, designed by Nevin Holmes. And we've got, of course, the rest of our credits, layout, editing, original interior art, cover art, character sheets, and everything. But then we've got, you see, three others. You've got The Demon, designed by Adira Slattery. We've got Sword and Bearer, designed by Viditya Boretti. And we've got Mech and Pilot, designed by Pamela Punsaran, which I believe are sort of these were I think Kickstarter stretch goals when this game first came out, and they are different reimaginings of the world. Because Gun and Slinger is not just it's not like just on its own, just a blank system. It is a setting, it is a world, and it's very, very interesting one. So here on the table of contents, see we've got a world setting, which is basically where we left off, right? We took a look at the basic elements of the setting: days and nights, lands and graves of the past, technology and people, factions, touchstones, and the twist. Let's go ahead and start off there. And then once we catch up with that real quick, then we can actually dive into the game proper, the resolution system. We want to see what this actually plays like. What dice do you roll? What stats do you have? What can you do or can't you do in this? And of course, that'll bring us to discussion of combat, violence, and death, tools and trinkets. I'm hoping to get some cool examples of fun stuff we can use in our games. And then I'm guessing this looks more like the, yeah, sort of the well, no, actually, so I was going to say this looks more like the GM setup, the GM session, but looks like it's for the full crew, because right after that is when we actually start talking about the player characters. So we'll actually get a better idea of what the gun and the slinger really like. Character advancement and braids. That looks interesting. I'm guessing that's like your XP or maybe your advancement tools. We'll get to it soon enough. Oh, here we go. The Maestro's Toolkit. That's the GM section. Difficulty, card use, face moves, the thing that hunts. I'm guessing that might be a bit of an adventure. We'll try and go over that one very quickly, so not too many spoilers for somebody who might be looking at this as a player. And then some simple scenarios. This is cool. I like that. And then after that, we've got the stretch goals down here at the bottom. All right, so let's go ahead. Scroll through this real quick. Look at this. See what I mean about the art being absolutely lovely? That's I like the use of color. I like the fact that it's actually looks kind of like a sketch, like something you might find in the back of a notebook that you found hidden somewhere in this strange world that they've created here. We'll just go ahead and read this very first part out loud, because I think it's kind of your elevator pitch, right, for the game. So you've got Gun&Slingers, an RPG geared for short episodic sessions about a weapon and a wanderer, a maestro, and two players, Gun and Slinger, set out into a dead planet mutated by a god's forgotten child. Right there, that's holy shit. And hunt strange bounties, investigate the world, and unlock hidden powers. During play, they seek to learn the nature of what's hunting the Slinger, figure out why the gun is sentient, and discover how the world died. So we've got some built-in motivation. We've got some built-in sort of reasons for the gun and the Slinger to be out there. The Slinger is being hunted. The gun is sentient, and we don't know why. The world died, and we don't know why. So no matter what else we're doing, whatever quests, adventures, enemies we're defeating, these are our guiding forces, right? These are the things that shape our characters, that shape why they exist in this world and why they take the actions that they do. So I like that. I like that it presents you with a situation. It presents you with this built-in mystery that you can work with, no matter what else you're doing, work towards. At the same time, as it says here, it's an RPG geared for short episodic sessions. So this is not like 4, 5, 8-hour games, apparently, right? We're just going by this little elevator description. But it's a game meant to be played relatively quickly, to have short sessions. I'm guessing probably high action. Let's find out. Once we look at the system itself, I guess we'll get a better idea of how high or low action it may be, right? So let's go in and see. Oh, why are you taking me in that direction? No, this way. Here we go. Okay, so we have some more setting and lore. Eons ago, the sky shattered and something ate the moon and stars, leaving us with only our sun, a small cluster of planets, and a new twisted moon. Something birthed from the Sky Eater, fell to our planet, and began to twist and warp it. It was the end of our world before anyone living could remember. So, yeah, we're looking at post-apocalypse. We're looking at a world that's been ruined and destroyed and changed and twisted. So let's see. Now, many generations later, our people's remnants wander the twisted land and fight the bioluminescent night-crawling creatures, searching our castles and cities' ruins for ancient magic and technology to help us survive. So we got magic and technology. Yay. The brave and hopeful work to keep our pocket-sized towns together and alive. Now, many years after our stars were devoured, you find yourself searching the ruins with your new partner. I hope you find what you're looking for. Well, so do we, dear narrator, so do we. Right, we checked this out last week, got a quick discussion of safety tools. I'm not going to go too deep into these right now, other than to be very grateful that they're there. Yes, Magitech, yeah, exactly. We saw Magitech earlier, and as soon as they mentioned Magitech, I am, in fact, absolutely sold. That's my jam right there, Stevedore. That is my hecking jam. Yeah, we got some acknowledgements, not just a thanks for everybody, but also land acknowledgements. and of course talking about how this is not really a traditional Western. It's worth a read. I like the approach that they're taking here. So here we go. Again, talking about that, and again, we're going very quick because this is the stuff that we saw last week, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. I want to get to the new stuff real quick. But for anybody who might not have tuned in last week, because last week was the very first episode, and also we were talking about Banana Light, and I mean, right? Sorry, Dave. You know I love you. But here, again, presenting that built-in motivation. Now we've got agendas. The gun and the slinger, both of you have an agenda. Well, everybody, and the master, everybody has an agenda within this game, a thing that you want to do, a motivation or a movement that you want to take. And in this case, we've got for gun and slinger. For both of them, put yourself in danger, search for what you want, leave people with stories to tell. I love that. Leave people with stories to tell. I love the sound of that. I love how that one works. For the gun, you have the agenda to be an extension of the slinger's arm and an agent of the strange. The slinger, be the hammer that sparks the gun and an agent for change. And the maestro, use the twist interestingly, create intrigue and drama, and make the world threatening. And then all of you together do what's most interesting, learn about the world, and escalate imminent dangers. Look, for stuff like this, sometimes there's a part of me that rebels against this, and I fight that part very hard. There's a part of me that says, surprisingly, the gun's agenda is not shoot bullets. I know, right? I mean, let's see, maybe we don't shoot bullets. Maybe we shoot magic ammo. Maybe we let's see what kind of gun we are once we get there, I suppose, right? But I do have a certain natural reluctance, like, hey, game, don't tell me what to play. Don't tell me what to do. Except, no. Games should tell me what the player should tell me what to do. Otherwise, why am I not playing GURPS? If I want, okay, look, I as a player, yes, I want to play the game I want to play, and I'm going to make this world my own. And the players as a group and the GM, we're going to make the world unique to ourselves. But at the same time, there's a reason we're playing a specific game. Maybe it's for the setting, maybe it's for the characters, maybe it's for the powers, maybe it's for the system itself. But the point is, the game has every right, and in fact, to a certain point, a need to tell you what to play. Like, hey, this is a game about, weird Wild West stories set in the future. It's gonna be strange. It's going to be brutal. It's going to be weird. It's going to be epic. And here's the things that you, if you want to embody this role within the game, should aim towards in order to embody that. And I appreciate that. Gosh darn it, Dan, you play a Magitech device wielding, can you play it now? Said some game pro. Exactly. Said possibly this game. So let's continue on with it. Oh, why? That's. Oh, there we go. Does this work? There we go. Now this works. Weird. Okay, the world. So we looked at the world real quick. We looked at the setting, and we've got the whole thing with the days and the nights. And the night is definitely when shit gets particularly weird. There's this force of nature or unnature called the twist that was born out of the thing that ate the sun or the stars rather, and the moon and stars rather, left us with a sun. The life that exists in this world is still all twisted. It says it down here. The land is in all green hills and pleasant nature. There are forests of trees and fungus, swamps of twisted creatures, and lakes of twist-touched oil. There are massive canyons and tectonic rips that seem to scream. For as much beauty as the world still holds, the twist has claimed and shifted in equal violent measure. So, civilization is destroyed. We're digging through the past. There's a certain Numenera-ness to this, right? We're looking for the treasures of the past, and there is new high weirdness that we don't quite understand that is effectively magic to us. We've got basic technology. Travels by horse, cart, foot, and vehicle. So we do have this, old crafts from old lands. But then, here we go. We got to the Magitech. What is Magitech? Magical technology. A fusion of traditional technologies, circuits, steam, electrical currents, massive machinery, with reclaimed magical remnants. They're more efficient or can do things in unusual ways. In Gun&Slinger, it's essentially a way to create interesting anachronistic technology attributable to magic and the long past golden age. It's our equivalent of a wizard did it. Use it to make cool shit exist in your world. Look, I appreciate that. Magitech, they don't... Here's the thing. Here's one thing I've noticed so far, despite the fact that there is a setting, right? And there is a particular vibe that they want you to follow. There are particular things. Again, there are no stars. There was a thing that devoured the sun. The twist has changed the land and the creatures and in the air. There is magic. There's old technology. You know, there's a lot, but it's given to you in very broad strokes. It's given to you as a guideline almost. Like, there is Magitech, and here's the guideline on Magitech. It's traditional technology with reclaimed magical remnants. They're more efficient, or they do things that normal technology can't do, and then they just come out right out and say it. It's our equivalent of a wizard did it. Just make cool shit exist. If you want a machine that purifies water, it turns it into a glowing liquid that can heal or whatever. Yeah, sure, it's Magitech. And that's how that works. Wizard did it. I like that. It gives you a lot of room to make this game. Once again, to make it your own while still guiding you. Not every game gets away with that. Let's see, factions and threat. Yeah, so the main thing is, so these are the baddies. These are the baddies, or at least the things that are dangerous. So there's the twist itself, right? That's the weird, and I guess we're gonna learn a little bit more about it. Or actually, no, it's page 23. We've learned more about it, I guess. Actually, that page counter looks normal goal. Page 23. Page 23 is interesting. Anyway, find the sentence of a wizard did it a bit redundant. Magic is in the name of Magitech. Exactly. Fair enough. Let's see. And of course, the various independent assemblies. So, bandits, mercenaries, freebooters. All right, good. You know, people are the real monsters, of course. And then this, I think I skipped over it a little bit. Yeah, I think I skipped over it a little bit before. But there are scholars, curiosities endlessly piqued by the twist. Go to incredible lengths to study it. So, wizened elders, static apprentices, adventurous bookworms. So I'm not sure what these are, but there's a greenskeeper, studies nature, twist keeper, studies the twist in depth, mind keeper, studies the twist mental effects, and general mental health. But we don't have a lot more about them, just that they are scholars that study this stuff. We don't know if they're important yet or what, but they are a faction, possibly a threat. Maybe we'll find out more about them soon. And then this goes back to out of character again a little bit more here. Touchstones and stones. This is like telling us the vibe that they're gonna go for, and some touchstones and samples that you can do to get that vibe. Like, yeah, Subnautica, alien flora and fauna. Subnautica, by the way, dope ass game. Outer Wilds, unsubtle existentialism and fireside guitar plucking. I love Outer Wilds. I really should play that one more. Trigun, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Oh, okay, that's a good reference. I like that. Okay, so we've got an idea of what we're going. Again, this is like this world that's slightly weird, and in which there's like ancient, vast ruins. And okay, cool. Survival, mystery, and danger. Dope. But now we get to the twist. Okay, now we're learning a little bit more about the twist. Look at this. It's a force across the land, left behind and forgotten by whatever ate the sky. Touches, claims, and mutates what it wants or perhaps needs. So I'm getting some real what's that movie that it wasn't Armageddon, it was Annihilation. Right? This force that exists in weird things. Twists the land and the creatures and the plants inside it. I'm getting that vibe from it. Its goals and their manifestations are discovered and formed through play. Okay, interesting. It's on every planet in this cluster, taking many forms. Thus, it manipulates anything, organic, inorganic, sapient, or otherwise. It doesn't matter. It takes and reshapes things to fit its desires, whether a swarm of rats, a bandit leader, or a monstrous human Venus flytrap hybrid. Neat. Mess with the world's other facet. Have it change any environmental feature. We'll establish a few unique ways to twist change your world, but there are two constants. Okay, here we go. We got some stuff that doesn't change no matter what. Twist is definitely related to the new moon and the thing that ate the sky. And the Twist owns the night. There are novel, largely nocturnal, bioluminescent flora and fauna. Not all are aggressive, terrible horrors. Some are natural evolutions who soaked up the new moon's light. So night is when shit gets weird. They kind of give us the chance to make up our own creatures, I guess. So they do give us a couple little examples that we saw last time. And here's one of my first few sort of not so much complaint as criticism of the game, which is this creature, the Gorilla Fungus. I mean, this, with how badass the bandit and Helldog design is, like you've got a bandit leader possessed by the Twist, given various gifts, and look at this art. Like, what even are you? And they got also we got like a giant monkey with made of fungus. Like, okay, I get it. It's I don't know. It feels like the Gorilla Fungus is. It's not a misstep. I just wish it was weirder. That's all I've got. And then there's the game of exploration and mystery. Okay, good. So this it looks like it takes some let's see. Yeah, it takes some inspiration off of like this feels really not Forged in the Dark, Powered by the Apocalypse Sea, in that it just gives you some guiding questions. So you're visiting a new town, give it a name, answer these questions. That's how you create the town. Being a new person, give them a name, answer these questions. What's their worry? What's their need? The town, what's the weather, roads, and how do they stay afloat? I mean, good. It's the basics. It's what you need to have this persona, to have this NPC or this location, and you get a very quick vibe for it. Like, let's say, what's the weather like? So we can say, you know what, the weather here is very dry, which implies all sorts of other things. Well, if it's very dry, then they probably don't have a lot of crops. So how do they survive? Maybe they hunt, maybe they trade, maybe they grow things underground, maybe there are special kinds of mushrooms or the creatures that thrive in dry lands that they're able to feed off of and possibly use to trade. How are the roads? Again, the answer to that makes a big difference. Very wide, well-taken roads are going to mean probably a lot of trade, a lot of travel, more people, while very poorly taken care of roads, or even a lack entirely of roads, might mean isolation, may mean danger, and how they stay afloat. All right, so do they farm? Do they sell? What do they do? How would the people here not starve to death? These are important, and once you answer these questions, you have a pretty good idea of what this town is like, what this location is like. I like it. 3 questions, boom, you've got yourself a location, a lot of detail. And same thing with NPCs. And now we're actually getting to the system. All right. So players and Maestro are participating in Go Fish, notably modified to fit RPG structure. Interesting. So that's you're basically. So first of all, it's card based. So Dave, if you're watching this now or later, you'll love this because cards. But you're literally kind of playing a game against the Maestro or against the other players. When a player wants to do something under pressure or with an uncertain outcome, the Maestro can request a check. The player then either asks the Maestro or the other player if they have a particular card. Hey Gun, do you have any 5s? The person who is asked must answer truthfully. If they have any cards that value, they are handed to the petitioner. If not, the asker draws a card from the deck. If at any point someone's hand contains a pair, that's 2 pairs of matched value, it is set face down on the table in front of them. The Maestro does not make pairs, keeping all their hands cards. This area is called the cache, and pairs remain here until used. Players may peek at their own pairs whenever, but not anyone else's. After the player making their check requests a card, and either receives or draws one, the Maestro reveals the check's difficulty and cost. This is an easy check, doing it costs a 4. And then the player either pays with a pair, requests a bargain, or accepts failure. The check's cost and occurrence is the Maestro's decision. The Maestro should rely on situational context and their judgment to determining. The outcome is uncertain. There's immediate pressure. Okay, that's the basics. Like, don't make somebody roll if they're just crossing the street and there's no danger, or the outcome isn't uncertain. This is basic. Tabletop RPG action logic. And important notes about pairs. A pair has its single card value. A pair of 10s is worth 10. Total value paid is the pair's value plus your relevant stat. You can exceed rather than exactly pay the cost. Other actions happen with checks. See basic rules. Okay, so the basic mechanic here, the gun, or rather, the slinger, the gun, and the maestro each have a hand of cards. I guess we'll find out how many. Yeah, I don't see how many cards you're supposed to start with. Maybe we'll see it later on. But yeah, so you're basically playing Go Fish. I want to do something. Hey gun, do you have a 5? Do you have a 6? Do you have an 8? Do you have a 2? Whatever. It's interesting that you don't get to find out the difficulty and cost until after you request a card. So you're trying to make pairs. You can't make, well, yeah, you can, because you're requesting, like, maybe you've got an 8, 1 8. So you ask the maestro, do you have any 8s? If they do, they give you an 8, and now you've got a pair of 8s. But also, yeah, okay, interesting. So you're trying to create pairs, and then you store them. You kind of have them, and then after that, and the maestro doesn't really, like, you're not showing your cards. So maestro can then go, okay, well, yeah, because, you know, it's in the example, easy check. 4. You look at your pairs and you go, well, I've got a pair of 2s, I've got a pair of 6s, and I've got a pair of 8s that I just put down. I'm gonna spend my pair of 6s, so I'm gonna spend 6. That pair goes away, and you succeeded. Right? That's what it sounds like. So the beginning of the game should be uncertain, as when no one knows what cards anyone is holding, it becomes more certain as players remember what cards are where. True. If you're the kind of person who not really counts cards, but you know what I mean. Like you got a good memory for hands and cards. I don't. I'm very bad at that. But if you are, then yeah, it's going to be a little bit easier. Although again, you're also pulling cards, right? So it says here, if the person you ask doesn't have, then you have to go fish. So you pull a card and you add it to your hand. You don't show that card that you just pulled. So there's always a certain level of uncertainty, right? You don't know the other person's hand entirely. You can kind of learn based on what they ask for, right? Yeah. Okay, let's see. Oh, why is it doing that again? No, stop that. There we go. How to treat stats. Okay, well, you have stats. That's good. Your stats are intentionally flexible and interpretative, while geared towards a few fairly obvious actions. Hey, SkyStar42. Single deck of cards? It appears so. Yeah, because, I mean, so far we haven't really been told how big these hands are. I'm guessing it's a single deck of cards, though. Hey, seance. Good night. Yeah, Yeah, looks like it is. Looks like the basic stats. I mean, it doesn't explicitly say so, as far as I can tell. Which seems a little weird. Right? Yeah, no, it doesn't really say. I mean, it just basically says you're participating in Go Fish, notably modified to fit RPG structure. So, yeah, I guess we just operate under standard Go Fish rules, whatever those may be. Okay, so I'm gonna have to ding this for a little bit. Here we are, experienced tabletop RPG players, and we're a little bit confused. Like, all right, well, I mean, I guess we're kind of just going with the assumption of the obvious stuff, right? So if it doesn't say otherwise, then I guess it's a single deck of cards, right? That's what it seems to be, as far as I can tell, unless I'm missing something. Catch up on chat real quick. The maestro doesn't form pairs and just holds on to all the cards they ask for. Well, I don't know if the maestro specifically says when a player wants to do something under pressure, or whether the maestro can request a check. So the maestro requests the check. You say, hey, I want let's say I wanna tear this door down. The maestro will go like, all right, that's gonna require a check. Then the player making the check asks either maestro or the other player if they have a particular card. I don't see anything saying that like the gun and the slinger can't share their cards. Maybe there might be another option there for that. Let's see. But no, I don't think the maestro is never asking for cards themselves. So the maestro is not making checks, not making pairs. So the maestro, I guess, just has his hand, his deck, his hand, and whenever a card is taken from him, does he draw a new one, or does he just have a limited hand and eventually it runs out? Right? There's a lot of things that I'm kind of missing here that feel like we might have wanted to spell them out a little bit more, unless they're later on in the book. We'll figure that out soon enough, hopefully. Yeah, so the maestro says, so the maestro doesn't ask for cards, so there is that. Players should remember what they took and ask for them back when they want to succeed. But no, but like I said, the maestro is never asking for cards from you. Exactly, it would make sense for the maestro to redraw. All right, it's like, yeah, you have a 3. The maestro looks, if he has a 3, or if they have a 3, they hand you the 3, and then they draw a new one without showing you. Makes sense. But again, it's not spelled out, and that's, don't care for that. It makes sense to the maestro. Yeah, right? And conceivably, you could stack the deck to make it easier, I suppose, but, I mean, why would you stack the deck? It's not that kind of game. I mean, I guess, yeah, you can if you want to. Don't increase the difficulty level. But again, as the maestro, you get to decide the difficulty level on your own, so you can decide how hard or difficult something is. Again, there's also no real guidance. So maybe we'll see more guidance later on. We might be missing stuff, but definitely dinging on this that it's not very clear, like how to start. I have no idea how many cards you're supposed to start with in a game of Go Fish, honestly. Is it 3? Is it 4? Is it 28? I don't know. It'd be nice if that got statted out as well here in the beginning. Like, hey, as the game begins, hand out X many cards to everybody, right? Your stats. Okay, so your stats again are intentionally flexible, interpretive, while geared towards a fairly obvious and wide variety of uses. So if you don't have situationally relevant stat, you make a check without a modifying stack. When making a check, always add your relevant stat. So I spend a 3 pair for my check, and my light on my toes stat is a 2. Okay, so you add your stat to your check. Easy enough. Yeah, so it's been a while since I've played Go Fish. Likewise. And they do have some starting stats and examples of use. So your starting stats: embodiment of magic, sharp for a gun, just a little bit mean, I've been around, good in a fight, light on my toes. I'm guessing these are just the starting stats. And I guess, well, later on we'll see, once we talk further about the gun and the slinger, we'll get a better idea. We're about to have a quick example of play, so we'll look at that. And we've got a couple extra bargains and face moves. All right, so let's go real quick. We got some examples of the starting stats. So if your stat is the embodiment of magic, that means it relates to the gun's relationship to magic. How good are they at it? How much do they know? Useful for any magic adjacent check. Good in a fight. Maybe you're more brawn than brain. Usable. Okay, so basically these are your basic stats, and they're gonna have a score. And so, and here they say what those stats apply to. So if you make a roll and you want to apply your I've been around stat, which might be a 2 or a 3 or whatever, then yeah, if it applies, like maybe you're trying to figure out which direction to head off after you left a town, and you want to know which area might be more safe or more dangerous or whatever, you can roll I've been around, and the GM or the maestro would say, okay, yeah, that's a check, and might say, like, depending on how strange and how difficult to know about the land you're going into, you might make it a higher difficulty check, so 8 or 9. But then if you've got an I've been around of 3, then that means you can get away with paying a pair of 5s or 6 and still succeed, right? That's what this sounds like. Let's see, is there something somewhere where it states what you need to play? Like on the back of the book, maybe. I don't see it at the beginning. Let me see. Let's go back to the beginning here. Does it say what you're going to need to play? No, not so far. Well, I would expect this to be maybe here, but not really. Apparently not. All right, let's see. So, okay, so here with Simplified Checks. So this is a quick example of how this is. So this is kind of like what we just went through. The slinger says they are attempting to sneak past someone. Maestro decides this requires a check, meaning the slinger must go fish. The slinger asks the maestro or the gun if they have a card, but they don't. So the slinger draws from the deck, completing a pair and placing it in their cache. The maestro says the check is hard, cost 11. The slinger plays a 7 pair, adding their light on your feet 2, which is a 9. The gun aids. Okay, so your gun can help by paying a single 2. A single 2, not a pair. Where was this put? There's nothing about aiding here previously. Game, you're just introducing new mechanics without letting us know that these mechanics are in place. Apparently, the gun, or I'm guessing probably the slinger for the gun when the gun is attempting something. Unless this is just how it is, only the slinger can act and the gun can only aid. I don't know. I guess we're about to find out. Game. I want to love you, but I mean, maybe I'm missing something, right? Maybe I'm missing something. But I feel like you're kind of throwing some mechanics at us kind of out of the blue. And they're not technically mechanics, we're figuring it out, but it feels like there's a lot of little details that are being missed. And And the narrative moves over the normal success, right? So let's see, basic moves. Okay, so here's how you recover from damage, which is important. Actually, you know what? I was gonna skip some of this, go forward, but let's get these examples, because being able, like, how you can heal. Bar for play. There we go. So on the HIO side, thanks, Stevedore. Bar for play, 2 to 3 players, 1 standard deck of playing cards, or an online alternative. Writing implements paper or some other method of taking notes and tracking information, 1 to 2 hours a session, 3 at the most. Again, this is pretty obvious. But that right there, that little blurb of text should be in this PDF, right? It should be right there. And it kind of is, but it isn't. Like, it's stated that these are going to be short sessions. It doesn't say specifically 1 to 2, max 3. It says short, which again is fine. But like that little sentence, that little blurb should be in this book, because that answers questions that the game rules are not answering. All right, so let's look at. Well, here's the thing, though. Yeah, exactly. Has Game and Sound ever bad RPGs? I mean, they might have. I'm sure they have. You know, and that's another thing. Like, you know, like the system itself seems to be fairly easy. This is not a lot of different roles, a lot of different things. Just draw a card. Do you have pairs? Do you not have pairs? I think in practice this probably flows very well. But the book could do better, I think, in explaining what is honestly actually a very simple system. Let's see. So I want to read this recovering from damage section, because it's kind of important to me, and honestly to most of Fandible. You know, one of our pet peeves has always been, how hard is it to recover? If I get hurt, am I out of the game for months, or what? So let's see. Players heal up, restock, and regain half of all used twist and connection if they're in a safe place when a session ends. Okay, first of all, don't know what it means to use your twist and connection. Feels like that could be better explained. Maybe just a little like C page X. But I guess we'll find it as we go through the book. And it's bugging me a little. It's bugging me a little. That you know, like some of the stuff we're bringing up terms without defining them, and that's a pet peeve of mine. bringing up game terms without properly defining them. Like, I know I've written games, and you know, not nearly as well as this, but I've written games, and I always make a point. You know, I introduce all sorts of new language into them. You know, new terms and new definitions, but I always try and make sure that the first time you encounter a term or definition, you are given somewhere as soon as possible, as early as possible, some kind of context for what that means and how to find out more. And I think this book is missing that. But whatever. Again, just figuring it out. We're veteran RPG, so recovering half of your use, twist, and connection if they're in a safe place with a session ends. So basically, I guess these are either hit points or just resources that you can spend. Having C page X is rather important to keep people from getting confused. Exactly, Skysart. Agreed. Let's see. Not if you end an intense cliffhanger like amidst a shootout. So basically, at the end of a session, so long as there's a chance for you to rest, you recover half your spent blahs. That's a heuristic. Camping somewhere relatively safe means you'll heal. You can also recover using items, paying a doctor, or with an extended rest. Just remember, time moves over. Okay, here we go. So next page, giving aid. Players can aid each other once per check by seeing how they are assisting and paying a single from their... Okay, players can aid each other once per check by describing how they are assisting and paying a single from their hand, adding it to the total page. So that's good to know, because that changes the strategy a little. So you're not only trying to make pairs, but you want to hold a few singles that maybe you don't pair off, because with your singles you can aid your partner, you can aid the gunner, you can aid your slinger. So that's good. I like that. I feel like these two pages maybe we should have transcribed them, because we are talking about giving aid, but that gets defined after we just brought it up randomly here. So whatever. I'm not a layout designer, but I feel like maybe that would have been a little bit better. That said, I'm glad at least it is defined. I've run into too many games where they just don't define them at all. So let's see. Blind play. As both players place a single from their hand face down, obscuring the respective cards, they're simultaneously revealing and combining the value of blind play's difficulty is calculated as follows. Maestro sends up a difficulty based on the ranges below and flips the deck's top card. The modifier adding it to the blind play's total. Blind pay, not blind play. I'm saying play. Blind pays are always used when players attempt to shoot something, but the Maestro can always call for one or simultaneous gun and slinger actions. Maestro declares a blind play. This is difficulty. Maestro flips the deck's top card. This is the modifier card. Players play a single face-down card from their hand, trying combined to exceed the difficulty without busting, e.g. exceeding a 21. So blind pay is kind of like a sudden game of 21. Blackjack, basically. And apparently it's used whenever you attempt to shoot something. Interesting. You're basically playing blackjack when you shoot. Oh, for all that I've been complaining, I am fascinated. I want to play this. I want to see how the system flows. I'm really curious. And I think I wish Dave could have joined me. Unfortunately, he's still, I believe, getting out from work at this time, working nights. My friend, we really need to get you a job that doesn't require you to work nights. But because I think this would drive nuts one way or another, either good or bad. But like the only way this would get his attention even more if it was straight up poker, right? I want to see how this works. Every blind pay has a set difficulty based on the action's context. So these are the default difficulties for blind pays. Easy is 14, mediums is 16s, and hards are 18. And yeah, it's just blackjack rules. Face cards are worth 10, aces are worth 1 or 11, determined after the reveal. One player may choose to add the relevant stats to a blind pay after. So you don't have to, but you can add your stats. And then scoring 21 exactly is pure success, as with 8. And again, now we're talking about a mechanic that we haven't actually defined. It's a pure success as with aces. Yes? What's that mean? What does a pure success mean? As with aces. When did we define that aces are a pure success? This game, it lifts me up, but it brings me down. Let's see. Changing the card game using the game mechanics without being honest about it? I don't know. I like it. I mean, again, it's you've got your basic checks, and then you've got your blind pays, and they are card-based mechanics, but they are different. It's frustrating. It's frustrating because I like what I'm seeing, but they keep doing this. They keep throwing terms at me without any kind of definition. Book feels like there are pages either missing or in the wrong order. Right. That's a bit of a shame. Because I know this was edited, like fairly well. But yeah, it's considering the amount of people that worked on this and the effort that was spent on it. Like, yeah, it's a little annoying. It said go fish. False bill of goods. All right, so let's go through over the example of play real quick. In the GM-less game, blind pays works similarly. The deck stop card is split, blah blah blah. So you can play with or without a maestro. So if you want to play two one-on-one without a maestro, this is how you do it. The duo wants to shoot a twist spider rushing from the 3 line. One flips the deck's top card, revealing a 3. Oh, so if you don't have a maestro, then the difficulty gets determined. Interesting. So there's a way to play GM less, but you still need at least 2 players. But it is interesting. So this game can run GM less, kind of, apparently. Interesting. Okay, I get this. And here we go. Okay, so if a player lacks pairs, can't pay a check cost. All right, so this is your fate points. This is the thing you do when you can't make the roll, but you still need to make the roll. Right, so bargains. The player has a face card to give the maestro that check is a baseline success. Wish to... Oh. Okay, so... It becomes a blind pay, resulting in failure or limited success with complications. A bargain's blind pay is never a standard success. There's always a complication. If a player lacks pairs, can't pay a check's cost, or doesn't wish to, in order to retain pairs for future checks, it becomes a bargain. If the player has a face card to give the maestro, then the check is a baseline success. But if they don't, can or don't want to, it becomes a blind pay, resulting in failure or limited success with complications. A bargain's blind pay is never a standard success. There's always complication. Okay, so if I'm reading this correct, this could be explained better, I think. But here's what happens when you can't make the roll. The maestro says, this is difficulty 11, difficulty 12, whatever. You look at your pairs. You've got a pair of 2s, a pair of 3s. In your hand, you've got a 5, a 7, and a king. So you've got a couple options, right? You can say, I can't pay it, and or I can't pay this, so it automatically becomes a bargain. Like, simply, I don't have the pairs to pay for this, even with my skills, whatever. Boom, becomes a bargain. Now you've got 2 choices. You have a king in your hand. If you have a king, then you give that to the maestro, and the check is a baseline success. So you did it, barely. And then you lost that face card. But if you don't have a face card or you don't want to use it, then you have to do a blind pay, which is what we did before. And so the GM, the maestro, sets the blind pay. Gun and Slinger both draw cards, etc., etc. We do the blackjack, and then no matter what happens, if it's a success, it's a partial success with a complication. If it's a failure, it's a full failure. So in order to fail, you have to be unable to meet the cost and then fail the blind pay and not have a face card available to succeed. But that's when you then finally fail. And face cards apparently have special effects. Oh, so so these symbol of Christ in her environment can be paired with any non. So the queens. So okay. So the face cards have special abilities. If you have a king, you can succeed at any check, including on the players. You have a queen. They can pair with any single to produce another pair. You got a jack, symbol that knows a good deal, and they see it. Play one anytime to draw 3 cards. Okay, and I guess this is what pure success as with aces. Here's what aces do. And then they call it a major success instead of a pure success. I love this book. I love the setting. I love the setting and I love the idea, but and look, here's why I'm a little salty about this, because I'm willing to forgive a lot of sins in games, in editing. I know certainly my games have had their issues with editing, but like I kickstarted this. I own a physical copy of this book, and the stickers and all sorts of things, and I love it. I love the design. I love the idea behind it. It's a little frustrating though that you know, I paid a decent amount of money for this, and I'm seeing a lot of really simple editing mistakes. It's a little frustrating. But the setting though, I still want to play this. I still want to play this so bad. Okay, but aces give you they're like a pure success, a major success. Okay, good. And when your hand is empty, draw 3 from the deck. So you draw 3. You start with 3. You always have 3. No, actually, you don't always have 3. If you lose all your cards, then you draw 3. Otherwise, you are drawing as you go fish back and forth, and your hand might be bigger and smaller depending on your pairs. Okay, that checks out. But we're almost out of time. We are. This game is so much more to it still to go. We don't even know about the Gun&Slinger. I think we're gonna have to continue with this next week. I want to see the rest of this. You know, we're kind of fighting our way through the system, but there's stuff here. I want to know what the player characters can do. I want to know what these stats can do. I want to know the difference between the slinger and the gun. What magic the gun has. What is the thing that hunts, and why would I wish to defeat it? All this stuff is fascinating, and that, my friends, despite the fact that I've been kind of, if not really tearing it apart, but like just kind of like nitpicking at it. Part of why I'm nitpicking is because of this stuff that's here. This stuff here. This that I'm seeing, these ideas, this is what drew me to this game. This is what, as the name of the show implies, is so great about this. This is what I want to get to. Because I can fight through a system. I can figure it out. If the story I can tell with the story of this game allows me to tell is cool enough. Right? Exactly, Skystar. The setting is really cool. And I want to see what I can actually do with this. Yeah. So you know what? Heck it. Originally this was going to be 1 game per episode. I think maybe I should have chosen one of the many PDFs that we have that are just a couple dozen pages instead of one that's over 100. But honestly, the fact that this has kept us so interested so far is a credit to the game. And I think we want to continue, or at least I do. I want to continue next week. I'm going to take a look at Combat of Action, and I want to get to the rest of this. I want to get to beginning your journey. I want to get to, here we go, pre-game prep. Remove the Joker, shuffle. 5 card, here's all this info. It feels like it's out of order. It feels like this is stuff that maybe I should have learned before, or that, yeah, and then some of this other stuff should have come later. Yeah, it feels out of order, which is a shame. But that's fine. We can get through it because this setting, I want to know more. I want to get into it. And that's what we're going to do next week. Check the far page. You may have the other set. Oh, I do. Yeah, you know, I've got the full version. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the end. Oh, too far. But yeah, here we go. Sword and Bearer. for example. And here we go. What's this? The demon. Yeah, the demon. Yeah, there's good stuff here. That's good stuff, and we're gonna get to those as well. Exactly. Gun&Slinger is not the full 100. Gun&Slinger is apparently, as far as I can tell, 89 of the pages. But yeah, no, exactly. So all this info is there, so it can be found and used. I said the layout and the order of everything is a little annoying, but we're figuring it out as we go. You know, so long as all the info is finally there and we get through it, then that's good. That's good. Because this setting, I want to know more about this setting. And that's what we're going to do next week. I do have to wrap up. I want this to not be so long, especially since it's already 10 p.m. my time. And I have work tomorrow. But thank you, folks, so much for joining. I hope you enjoyed it. I you know, despite me complaining about the game, I'm actually having a lot of fun with this. I'm having a lot of fun learning about this system and wrapping my head around what you can do and you can't do. So I hope y'all are enjoying this at least half as much as I am, because I'm going to keep doing it. We're going to do more of this tomorrow. Oh, sorry, not tomorrow. We're going to do more of this next Thursday as we continue exploring Gun&Slinger, and we actually hopefully get to actually meet the gun and the slinger at long last. Meanwhile, tomorrow evening, again, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern, I'll be doing a listen along of tomorrow's episode that will be dropping at some point tomorrow. That's up to Jesus. I have zero control over this. But I believe it's the next part of the St. John's Public House series for Unhallowed Metropolis, which I'm having a lot of fun with, even though, oh boy, we ran into some issues with that system as well. I love Unhallowed Metropolis, but yeah, sometimes that system really bogged us down. And I did choose it. Listen to the episode, you'll see what I mean, but basically I made the mistake of choosing the hacker. And, you know, the way the game is designed, basically, it's kind of like Shadowrun does, where anytime you want to do something, the whole game bogs to a halt while you deal with your own subsystem and rules and whatnot. Games that do that, it's a little annoying. But then again, I've written games that do that. I love crafter characters, and yet their systems always require everything else to stop while we deal with this whole extra subsystem. It's a love-hate relationship. But tomorrow, we do the listen along. The second part of that, Saturday, we have office hours. And before I leave, I'm going to leave you a little promo. If you haven't seen it on YouTube, we posted it on the channel. I'll also play it right here before we go to the end of the show. Other than that, thanks for hanging out with me. I'll be back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. for the listen along. Then we'll be back on Saturday for a very special office hour, celebrating apparently my birthday, or so I've been told. I'll take it. If it means I don't have to do anything, then I can just basically be stoned in the back while Dave has to carry the whole show. Yeah, that works for me. I'll take it. Until then, though, folks, again, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being part of the whole Fandible thing. And I hope you'll be back next week as we continue delving deep into Gun&Slinger. Have a great evening, folks. Now I try and find what button turns you all off. Oh no, wait, the promo.